know. And DC, of course. All right, Crystal City, VA back there over the water, Potomac. All right, we want to get into basically it's harvest time, right? It's time to harvest the first fruit, the wheat and the tares. Yahweh and Yahushua and the angels about to put in work. Judgment's going out. All right. Judgment's going out. Everything is going according to plan for the Heavenly Father. So, can't complain. We're going to face the east. Harvest time, right? Oops. Here we go. East right here. All praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, Ba'ashem, Rakakwadash. This is y&ymission. I like to give double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. y&ymission teaches the 100% truth doctrine as GMS. All right, so we out here in DC. As you know, it's harvest time. Judgment's going out. Okay, Heavenly Father is messing up the weather. We got earthquakes. We got the war that restarted. Okay. And the minute of the Lord, service of the Lord told you how that was going to happen. It wasn't going to be no deals being cut or made, right? Oh no, I'm just trying to adjust. Sorry, it's locked. All right, so yeah, no deals ain't being cut or made. Everybody is what? Being destroyed. All right, Esau has been made bare. Okay, all his secret places, everything has been found out and exposed in these times. Okay, of judgment. These are perilous times that we in. The remnant is being sealed. The 1/3, the elect. All right, everybody's in their place. Everybody's in their lot. Right? So the Heavenly Father knows exactly what he's doing. It's harvest time. It's time to collect, okay, and burn the rest, okay? Burn the 2/3, all right? The undesirables, okay? And it's time to reap and collect the 1/3 and the elect, right? Put them in what? The barn, all right? Romans 8:23. And not only they, but ourselves also, which have the first fruits of the Spirit, even we ourselves groan within ourselves, waiting for the adoption, to wit, the redemption of our body, right? So the elect, okay, are waiting, all right? The remnant is waiting, they're groaning, the spirits is groaning, getting anxious, okay? Even the elect in up with the Heavenly Father that are up with him, they're wondering and complaining and asking the Lord how much longer, okay? How much longer, right? Because they want to what? Be adopted, the redemption, okay? Coming back to the Heavenly Father to be saved and get ultimately these new bodies, okay? These mortal bodies, all right? So you got the remnant down here and the elect up there, the remnant up there, okay? They're waiting with the Heavenly Father. They're groaning and moaning and want to know, you know, basically how much longer, okay? The first fruits. These are the spirits that the Heavenly Father has decided to have mercy on in these times, right? These perilous times. We got the second death coming up, which is fire and brimstone, okay? The first death was what? By water, all right? James 5 and 7. But what? Be patient, therefore, brethren, unto the coming of Yahushua. Behold, the husbandman waiteth for the precious fruit of the earth, right? And have long patience for it, until he receive the early and latter rain, right? So Yahushua is waiting, okay, waiting for the elect to be sealed, okay? The Heavenly Father has made this vine, this grape, okay, with a lot of delicateness and tender and care that he's put into the remnant, okay, to bring them back, and then to make sure that they're guided and in the right place at the right time, okay, and so they can, well, ultimately be brought up into this truth, be brought back, and to what? Be saved, all right? So it's been a lot of care, a lot of patience between the Heavenly Father and His only begotten Son, okay, to see the remnant, okay, to get this far, all right? A lot of moves had to be made. A lot of people and things had to be cut out and put to the side, okay? Whether, you know, the remnant knows it or not. But we ultimately know it now because what? All right, we have this truth. All right, we have this word, okay? We have this understanding, okay? And then you have the elect men, okay? The servants of the Lord, the men of the Lord out there singing this song on the highways and byways and on the information superhighway, bringing this truth out, right? So once they get it, okay, starting with the apostles and elders, a great millstone on down, once they got it, they were able to pass it on to the younger generations, okay, the men, okay, that are coming up under them, all right? And this song has been sung, okay, through all four corners of the earth right now, all right? Everybody has it, all right? So Yahweh had to be patient, but ultimately he had to be, Yahushua had to be patient with, okay, the first fruit, okay, the remnant, okay? And they followed him, okay, back, okay, to this time, all right, this last go around. He's the what? Husbandman, all right? So he's cultivating, he's helped cultivate, because the Heavenly Father has given him charge over the remnant, the 1/3, the elect, okay, in this time, all right? So what does it say? James 5 and 7. Be patient, therefore, brethren, unto the coming of Yahushua. Behold, the husbandman waiteth for the precious fruit of the earth. Right. So a husbandman is a farmer, okay? He's planted the seeds, okay? And the remnant has also planted seeds in the 1/3, okay? And some of them are growing, some of them still, you know, gaining foot in this truth and whatnot, all right? So it's a process for everybody, and this is why the Heavenly Father has always stretched, okay, for the men in the Lord, you know, men of the Lord, to what? Be patient, okay? And we had to what? Learn patience through trials and tribulations, which will bring us what? Experience, okay, and wisdom, Sophia, okay? But patience is a big thing if you know this book, okay? You know this word, you know this truth. The Heavenly Father commands us to have patience, expects us to have patience, okay? Because this is a process, it can't be rushed, okay? And everybody has to be in the right place. Everybody has to be accounted for, okay? I'm talking about especially on the right-hand side, the righteous, okay? Because the Heavenly Father does not want, no man can pluck the righteous out of the Heavenly Father's hand, all right? So this is a team effort, okay? The Heavenly Father has to do His work, setting up everything years, decades, centuries ahead of time, okay? And Yahushua has to come in and make certain put pivots and moves for the remnant, okay? And members of the elect and remnant 144, He has to make sure that, you know, they're safe, okay, and kept just like the Heavenly Father wants, okay? His spirits, His friends, okay? And then, of course, the 1/3, that's the friends of the prophets and whatnot, they have to be looked after as well, all right? And the elect, okay, the 144, the men that are teaching, okay, that are out there on the highways and byways and on the information superhighway, which is the internet, okay, they're helping the 1/3, okay? Friends of the prophets, okay, the elect women, and children, okay, understand this truth, understand this word, continue to give them hope, continue to inspire them to have faith, continue to move forward, okay? So that's why it's a whole team effort, all right? James 5:7, be patient therefore, brethren, unto the coming of Yahushua. Behold, the husbandman waited for the precious fruit of the earth, okay? And have long patience for it, right? The first fruit of the earth, the remnant, until you receive the early and latter rain, right? Galatians 6:9, and let us not be weary in well-doing, for in due season we shall reap if we faint not, right? So we reap the reward. Don't get worried. Don't get weak in the well-doing. It's good news, all right? Bringing out this truth, okay? Your trials and tribulations. Don't get worried, all right? Because everything has a season, right? Reaping, harvesting, sowing, and even, of course, in agriculture has a season, okay? Now down here, carnally and with agriculture, the Heavenly Father is messing up the seasons because he's what ultimately wants to bring in a famine, all right? But as far as the righteous, okay, the 1/3, the 144, the elect, the service of the Lord, okay, it's about they have been cultivated for redemption, for salvation, to be saved, okay? And this word has captivated them and caught them, okay? The men that are bringing it out, okay, to them day in, day out, that has sacrificed, the teachers that have sacrificed to do this work, okay, that put everything on the line and lost everything for the 1/3, okay, the numeral multitude, the 1/3, all right? These men that are bringing it out, right, they're going to ultimately reap, okay, in due season, all right? And of course, the true servants aren't going to faint. They aren't going to fall out the truth, okay? They're going to continue to do what it is that's necessary, or what the elect would do, all right? And that's continue to serve the Heavenly Father, okay? Day in, day out, regardless of their trials and tribulations, all right? Luke 21:25. And there shall be signs in the sun and in the moon and in the stars upon the earth, and distress of nations with perplexity. All right. So we're seeing these signs, okay, in the sun and moon. The sun, okay, we're still in July, and the sun has been what? Okay, the sun has been acting up or dimming. Okay, it's been covered. Okay, and then we see the moon, blood red. We see blood skies, red skies, and whatnot. So we're seeing these signs, okay? All right, and this is what part of the signs that what harvest is near, okay? Yahushua is on his way, all right? Luke 8:11. Now the parable is this: the seed is the word of Yahweh, right? So the men of the Lord, the elect, the service of the Lord, they're out there on the highways and byways and on the information super highway, or what, and have been doing what? Planting seeds, okay, of truth, okay, here and there and everywhere, not just in cities, but throughout the world, okay. They've been bringing this out, okay, this word, okay. The seed is the word, okay, planting this, and a lot of people in the remnant, it's going to grow, okay, and they're going to get this water, okay, which is this truth, okay, constantly. They're going to keep coming back. The remnant 1/3, they're going to keep coming back, getting more and more edified, okay, regaining their memory, their knowledge, okay. They hear the healthy, the only begotten son's call, okay, the sheep. Okay, they hear Yahushua's voice, okay? So they're growing, okay? The seeds have been planted, okay? And in some people, the seeds haven't taken foot, okay? They haven't grown, all right? And if they grow into thorns and bushes, or so to speak, that can, that can stick you. You know what I'm saying? Thorns, what I'm trying to say. All right, but the seed this truth, this word has went out, okay, and it's been planted, okay, throughout all four corners of the earth, okay, in the minds, okay, of those that are selected for salvation or have a chance at salvation and redemption, okay, and the men of the Lord, the service of the Lord, water that, okay, by bringing out this edification, okay, of this truth day in and day out, okay, sun up to sun down, okay, no matter what the time zone is. Ecclesiastes 3:1. To everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven. Right. And in the world they would say it's a time and place for everything under the sun. Okay. So that saying, that proverb, that I guess you could say that's an African proverb or African American proverb. Okay, they get it from what? The Bible, all right? Ecclesiastes 3:1. To everything there's a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven. Right. All right, so the Heavenly Father has things, like I said, time. Time activates the prophecies, okay, and how things come in waves. Everything has to do with time. That's why the Heavenly Father, when you are in this truth, we have to understand that patience, you have to wait, you have to be long suffering. That's what it's about, all right? So he makes this decree a lot, being patient, all right? Because what? The time to every purpose under the sun, all right? So everything has a time, everything has a season, okay? And everything, things change, okay? The Heavenly Father loves change, okay? And us down here in this flesh, we have to understand that we're going to go through a lot of change, okay? To keep up with the seasons, all right? That the Heavenly Father puts us in. And some people can't deal with the change, okay, fleshly. So some things may get taken away from us in this truth. Some things may get added, okay. We have to move certain places that we don't want to move, or go back to certain places we don't want to go back, okay. That's part of change, and that's part of time and season, okay, because it's a purpose. The Heavenly Father has a purpose, okay. His thoughts are not our thoughts, okay. So we have to move. We have to shake and move with the changes. You know what I'm saying? This is a fight. This is a spiritual fight. He doesn't want us to be carnal, but it's the same mindset. You know, if you're in a fight, you got to keep moving. You got to keep moving around and stuff. You can't sit still, because if you sit still, you know, you easy pickings to be hit. All right, you standing still. So that's another thing that you have to understand about this truth, okay? It's time. You gotta have a rhythm. You gotta move, all right? Seasons, things change, all right? Opponents, tribulation, things change. So you gotta be able to move, you know what I'm saying? That's what it's about. You don't have to be carnal, you don't have to go out and fight nobody or nothing, but you do have to move around. You have to have footwork, all right, in the truth. Because if you stand still, you could be hit easily. You could be predictable, okay? And you can't defend yourself and be as reactive to Satan's blows, okay? The left hand side blows, all right? Because your feet are together, or your feet are stationary. You're stationary. You're not mobile. You don't have no mobility. So you got to have mobility in this truth. All right? And that's part of your season. Things change. You may get abundance one season in the truth, and then you may get everything taken away in another season while in the truth. Okay? And that's what we have to stress to the body, the remnant. All right? Everything is not going to be sweet. You're going to have, you know, a little bit of bones thrown to you here and there, but you also have to understand that things can change drastically, okay, for the better or for the worse, okay, in his truth. And the Heavenly Father wants to keep his cluster close, okay. He wants Yahushua to make sure that they stay covered, you know, that they don't go out of his way, okay, or go out of their preview, okay, to be put back in the world. All right, that the Heavenly Father doesn't want that. So the angels are gathered around the elect, okay, the elect men and women, children, protecting them, making sure that they don't be tempted, okay, making sure that they're able to overcome. Okay, the Heavenly Father leaves a way for the elect to get out of situations, to think, to use your mind, your heart, okay, your mind, all right, and also ultimately what? Fearing the Lord and praying, all right. So Ecclesiastes 3:1, to everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven, right? So the Heavenly Father has a time and place for everything and a purpose for why he's doing what he's doing at the certain time through that season with each member of the elect, all right? James 1:18, of his own will begot he us with the word of truth, that we should be a kind of first fruits of his creatures, right? So the Heavenly Father got us with this word, and he likens us to first fruits, okay? So it's his will, okay? All right, he chose the remnant, okay? And the men that are, you know, standing bold out here in these last days, proclaiming the name Yahweh and Yahushua, okay, to the nations, to the heathen, okay, and to the tribes, all right, all these nations, all right. So the Heavenly Father is his will, okay, and he brought this word, okay, to certain members, like I said, of the remnant that he wants, all right, to put it out there and to teach it, of course, all right. And of course, they're gonna bring in what? The first fruits, all right. Not just themselves, but other men and women that are destined, okay, to be saved, to have salvation and redemption in these times, to be redeemed, all right. So that's very important to understand. 1 Corinthians 15:23. But every man in his own order, Yahushua the first fruits, afterward they that are Yahushua's at his coming, all right? So right, but every man in his own order, Yahushua the first fruits, okay? Afterward, they come, okay? So after, you know, it's a chain, like I said, it's a chain of command, or kind of like, all right, it's Yahushua, he the first fruit, he's the poster child of what first fruit is, okay? And then the men that come after, you know, that he selected, okay, to be his first fruit, his ride or dies, you know what I'm saying? All right, because Yahushua was Yahweh's ride or die, all right, literally and spiritually and physically, all right. And then he had afterwards they that are Yahushua at his coming, all right, coming right now. So at his coming, he's about to pull up, and right now he's gonna have, when he pulls up, he's gonna have his men, all right, his elect men, okay, that are his ride or die, all right, that are waiting patiently for him, okay, and that are doing the work. We went into, you know, doing the work, and how these men are gonna what? Examine themselves constantly in these times, right, to be on point. All right, so 1 Corinthians 15:23, but every man in his own order, all right, Yahushua the first fruit, afterward they that are Yahweh's at his coming, right? So he's first fruit, then his men, his ride or die men, all right, that will be here at his coming. Matthew 13:30, let both grow together into the harvest, okay? And in the time of harvest, I will say to the reapers, gather ye together first the tares, and bind them in bundles to burn, burn them, right? Burn them in where? The lake of fire. All right, that's 2/3. But gather the wheat into my barn, right? All right, and that's the elect, the remnant, the 1/3. Okay, the men and women and children that are destined for salvation. And you can liken the barn into what? The ark. Or you can liken the barn into what? The chariots, because they're going to get beamed up in the chariots and be safe, put away, all right? Let them both grow together, okay, until the harvest, right? So you got the good, you got the left-hand side Israelites and the right-hand side Israelites that grew up together, okay? And right now, what has happened in the last 5-6 years, the Heavenly Father's been doing, making a separation, okay? The wheat from the tares, all right? So these are your family members on the left-hand side, co-workers, people you went to school with ever since you was in elementary school, sandbox, your day ones, your wife, your first wife on the left-hand side, everything. These are the people that you on the right-hand side, you're part of the remnant. You're destined for salvation. You get this truth and get this word. You grew up with these people, okay? These people know you, okay? They would say that they know everything about you, but they didn't know that you were chosen from the beginning for salvation. And you get this word, you get this truth, okay? And it's going to be a shocker to them as time and the separation unfolds, right? So the Heavenly Father has separated the wheat and the tares, the harvest, okay? See, let both grow together until the harvest is about to be harvest time, all right? That's what I'm saying. And in the time of harvest, I will say to the reapers, all right, gather ye together the first, the tares, and bind them in the bundles, right? So the Heavenly Father's, it's a time, right? A time and a place, a season, okay? And it's harvesting time right now as far as it comes to, okay, the creature, okay, the remnant, okay, the spirits that are down here, the first fruits. It's about that time, right? I would say to the reapers, gather ye together first the tares and bind them in bundles to burn them, right? That's the undesirables, that's your 2/3. But gather the wheat into my barn, right? That's what Yahweh is going to say to what? The angels, Yahweh, okay? Because every man is marked, okay? The men that sigh and cry down here are marked, okay? For salvation, okay? Revelations 14:14. And I looked and beheld a white cloud, and upon the cloud one sat like unto the Son of Man. That's Yahushua, having on his head a golden crown, and in his hand a sharp sickle. Right. And that's the thing, the sharp sickle, it's a half C, a crescent, and it's got a handle on it. And you use that to cut down. That's what Yahushua and the angels are going to use, you know, an analogy to cut down 2/3, all right? They really gonna get hands, feet, and lasers and shit, okay, put on them, okay, cutting them down. But the Heavenly Father's just using analogies and whatnot, so you can kind of understand. All right, so Yahushua gonna pull up. He gonna have his crown on his head, because he ultimately beat death, okay? And he's the first fruit, okay? And he's the Heavenly Father's only begotten Son. So he gonna roll up in nice fashion, okay? In his hand with a sharp sickle, his sword, okay? He gonna lay the law down. He gonna start treading that wine press. Who is that? Yahushua, right? Who is that? Who is that come from Edom with dyed garments from Bajra? Treading the wine press. That's Yahushua. All right, he gonna do a lot of killing. He about to do a lot of killing out here. All right. So Revelations 14:14, and I looked and beheld a white cloud, and upon the cloud sat like unto the Son of Man, having his head a golden crown, and in his hand a sickle. Damn. It's about to get crazy. It's harvest time. It's about that time. It's the season. 'Tis the season to have harvest. This is good though, right? Revelations. Galatians 6 and 7. Be not deceived. Yahweh is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. Right. So you've been not using this grace period, okay, to get back to the Heavenly Father, and you stayed in the world. On the left-hand side, I'm talking to you 2/3, you so-called blacks, Latinos, Hispanics, and Native Americans. You've been out here scamming and thieving and committing adultery and idolizing certain things of the world and these heathens. You've been up their ass, okay, and you've been still wreaking havoc down here in these last days, scamming and stealing money and shit, and stealing food and all that type of shit, and taking from other people. All right, you're gonna be put down. I'm talking to you 2/3. All right, you so-called blacks, Latinos, and Hispanics and Native Americans that are rebellious against the Heavenly Father, okay, against what He's trying to do. And you all have a zeal. You can feel the difference. You know what's going on, but you're choosing to stick with Esau. All right, you planning to take the MOTB, all right, because you don't want this place to end. All right, you're gonna be put to death. All right, and the Heavenly Father is gonna put you to death. He gonna send Yahushua on your ass. The angels gonna be on your ass. Okay, the elect men, the 144 gonna be on your ass. Okay, these plagues, they gonna be on your ass. These earthquakes, they gonna be on your ass. All right, these wild ass weather phenomenon, they gonna be on your ass. Okay, and these wild beasts, these dogs, these your own pets, your cats. Okay, these bears. Okay, these creatures out here, they gonna be on your ass. And these demons that the Heavenly Father gonna send, they gonna be on your ass. So you gonna have a shit. Oh, and not to mention the other nations, and Esau gonna be on your ass. I'm talking to you 2/3, you so-called blacks, Latinos, Hispanics, and Native Americans that are rebellious, that don't want to get right, that don't want to come back to the Heavenly Father, that are on the fence, okay, or that fell out the truth in these times. All right. The Heavenly Father got a slew of shit that's gonna be on your ass, all right? And it ain't worth it, all right? But we also know that it's part of the game, all right? And a lot of people, okay, 2/3, all right? And it's a lot of women in there, but a lot of Israelites aren't meant to get it. They just came back just to be destroyed, all right? Just to be destroyed. You're gonna take a sweetheart deal. You're gonna come back, you're gonna be low rank in the kingdom, all right? You gonna be all right. You gonna have your mind, and you gonna forever know what you did on this side and how you fucked up, and that's gonna be plaguing you in the kingdom, all right? So you get a sweetheart deal, all right? So Galatians 6 and 7, be not deceived, Yahweh is not mocked, for whatsoever a man soweth, that he shall also reap. And on the right-hand side, the men that are sighing and crying, the women and children that have cleaved to these men, okay? The elect men, the servants of the Lord, the men of the Lord, and that have also cleaved to this word, okay? You are going to what? You're going to reap by being saved. You're going to get salvation. You'll get redemption. You'll be redeemed, okay? The Heavenly Father and His only begotten Son are going to look after you, cover you in these times, okay? And you're going to ultimately make it up on the chariot, okay? And be safe from the destruction, the lake of fire, the nuclear destruction that's going to unfold here in Babylon the Great, all right? So you got literally the haves and the have-nots. The haves are the ones, the 1/3, the remnant, the servants of the Lord, okay? And the women and the children that get this truth. That's the haves. And the have-nots are you 2/3, you rebellious, so-called blacks, Latinos, and Hispanics, and Native Americans that heard this truth, that scroll, that mark, that scoff, okay, that want this place, these Edomites to keep ruling, and you want to stay up under them and get 2-week paychecks, okay, and you want a 401k benefits, okay, and you want to just fuck off, all right? You want to have your weekends to yourself, and you want to travel, okay, and you want to do it all over again every week. That's good enough for you, but that ain't good enough for men like me, all right? That ain't good enough. So we out here chatting this place down. We taking our L's right now, and they really not L's. They just lessons, and we humbling down, okay? We meek and lonely, and coming low to the Lord, all right? Because we want salvation. We want the whole nation of Israel, all 12 tribes. We want them to be on top, all right? We want them to be redeemed, all right? So you reap what you sow. Galatians 6:8. For he that soweth to his flesh shall of the flesh reap corruption, right? But he that soweth to the Spirit shall of the Spirit reap life and everlasting, right? So basically, like I said, the left-hand side, okay, and the right-hand side. And the Heavenly Father is telling you, for he that soweth to his flesh, that's being carnal, that's being materialistic, that's being in the world of the world, okay, that's worrying about the things of the world, okay, that's covenant after the things of the world, envious of the things of the world, what other people got in the world, okay, for he that soweth to his flesh shall of the flesh reap corruption, okay, you get corruptible crowns, okay, you get corruption as far as your spirit get corrupted, drugs, alcohol, mammon, which is money, okay, adultery, idolizing, being an American idol, okay, a Babylonian, being in this, being entertainer of the world, okay, an athlete of the world, okay. These are corruptible things. Looking to get the bag, okay, chasing after women, money, clothes, cars, hoes, okay, all these things leads to corruption of the flesh, okay. All this madness that you see leads to corruption of the flesh, okay. But he that soweth to the Spirit shall of the Spirit reap life everlasting, right? All right, so you got the remnant, you got the 1/3, you got the 144, okay, starting with the apostles and elders of Great Millstone all the way down, sincerely put this word out day in and day out, okay, on the highways and byways, on the information superhighway. These men and women are what? They're reaping everlasting life, okay, because they're reaping for the Spirit, all right? But he that soweth to the Spirit shall of the Spirit reap life everlasting, okay? And that's what the remnant has done, the elect has done. They came back, okay? They heard this word, this truth, they got it, they let it grow, they planted seeds in others, okay? They have done their part to the body by adding whatever office or talent they have added that to the body, okay? They have been measuring the time diligently. They've been constantly supping with each other and also the Heavenly Father, okay, and bringing out Sophia and gaining wisdom and knowledge and understanding and being edified, okay? So that's what? Soweth to the Spirit shall of the Spirit reap life everlasting, right? So it's a duality, like it's always, okay? The left-hand side and the right-hand side, all right? So Galatians 6:8. For he that soweth to his flesh shall of the flesh reap corruption, but he that soweth to the Spirit shall of the Spirit reap life everlasting. All right, and that's ultimately what the 144, the elect men are looking for: everlasting immortality, putting on immortality, okay, and leaving behind this corruptible flesh, okay, getting a new body, okay, so we won't ultimately what? Go off, so we can be programmed to do the will and constantly do the will and teach, okay, and edify once we get in the kingdom these nations, okay, because they will be constantly coming up, all right. So, getting this new body, that's very important to the men, all right. Second Ezra 9:1. He answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest parts of the signs pass, which I have told thee before. Right. And we seeing things like I said earlier, the moon, sun, okay, the stars, okay, the people, the perplexity, the nations being riled up, okay, plagues, pestilences, diseases, the animals getting wild and riled up, okay, the love of many is waxing cold. We're seeing all these signs. That's part of what? Measuring the time diligently, so we can what? Ultimately get to harvest, okay? It's almost harvest time, all right? And who's going to be harvest? The elect, okay? It's almost harvest time. And it's time for also the 2/3 to be chopped down too and cast it into the lake of fire, all right? To bathe in these nuclear missiles, all right? This burning, all right? So we measuring the time diligently. That's what the men of the Lord, servants of the Lord, are going to ultimately do, and bring this to what? The body, and let them know where the prophecies are, how many we have left, where we stand, okay, what to look for. Right now we waiting on what? The MOTB, all right? Everything is pretty much set up in place, all right? And like I said, Ecclesiastes 3:1, to everything there's a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven, right? Right. So Ecclesiastes, all right, 3:5. A time to cast away stones, a time to gather stones together, a time to embrace, a time to refrain from embracing, a time to get and a time to lose, a time to keep and a time to cast away, a time to rend and a time to sow, a time to keep silence and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time of war and a time of peace. Right. So it's a time for everything, all right? It's a time for everything, and that's beautiful, all right? And that's what it's about right now. It's almost harvest time, okay? It's time for destruction of the nation, these heathen nations, and 2/3, and it's time for salvation and redemption of the elect, okay, the remnant, and the 144, all right? So I just wanted to bring that out, okay? It's harvest time. It's a beautiful time. It's exciting, all right? I'm excited, all right? Every man is going to reap what he sowed, whether it be good or bad, and you can look forward to what? We're going to look forward to Yahushua coming with a reward for every man, all right? Whether it be good or evil, all right, for him. All right, so with that, I like to say all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakak Wadash. It's been y&ymission. Shalom.